Greetings, conjured ones, and welcome to the Illusioniste Conjuring of the Dead YouTube channel with your host, the Dead Conjurer. Well, we have an interview for you today. Now, I will be honest, this interview is somebody who I know personally, and I would like you all to give warm greetings and lovely comments to my mother, Sheila Watts. Hello, Mum.
Hello, Chris.
Now, just because I'm your son, you're not going to be biased in any way or make up any stories or anything like that, but you have had experience that you could say are strange.
That's right.
Now, the experiences that she will talk about in a moment are two that I'm aware of one being quite supernatural.
Yes.
And the other may be a bit terrestrial.
Yes. Yeah.
And she's going to speak about them now. So over to you, Sheila. So I'm just going to start off with the first question. When was the first time you discovered something to be supernatural?
The first time I discovered anything to be supernatural was when I was about 14, coming through a field, and I was with my partner that I was with at the time, and there was this, a figure of a lady, but you couldn't see no face or nothing. It was just like an outline of a gown, a white, and she shimmered. She was shining, so a very, very bright white shimmer. And thought there was a bike coming through at the time with his headlamp on. It was dark, and I first of all thought it may be of that shining on something like metal or something, but I knew that it wasn't, because after he'd gone by it was still there. So that was my first encounter.
Just recapping on the encounter there, how did you feel at the time when you saw this?
Well, it did scare me. Yeah, I was scared because I knew that it wasn't a real person. Well, wasn't a person as such. May have been. Well, to me, it was a ghost.
And how long would you say you saw the person for?
It was only a couple of 3 minutes. I saw.
And is that because you chose to look away, or did she vanish?
No, I couldn't. I could just stop still. We both did, and I just couldn't stop looking at her. And my partner, he was frightened, and I said, "Oh, it's all right, it's okay," I said, and tried to comfort him by saying, like, it could have been that man coming up on his bike.
You tried to rationalise it,
yes.
Would you say, yeah?
And then he turned around and said, "Well, you know as much as I did. You seen what I did, didn't you?" He said, and he said, and it wasn't the lamp from that bike like you said it was.
So just to be clear, you spoke about it afterwards. Neither of you telling in detail.
Well, it was more or less at the time.
But neither of you had spoke about. But what I'm saying across to the viewers is some people who would think that it's maybe a level of some kind of hysteria of where you two are creating stories and not quite remembering facts. So at the time you didn't exchange any details about what you saw, and he didn't describe any details about what he saw. But yet when you was both talking to one another, one would trigger one else and go, "Well, then you did definitely see it the same as I did."
Afterwards. We spoke about it, and we both knew what we'd seen.
Okay, thank you. And just roughly a timeline of the year. So you were 14. So
yes, it must have been round about 1970.
Okay. And you said there was another encounter as well after this one.
Yes, there was another encounter after this one. In 1986, this was say UFO. Well, it was a UFO because I'd never seen anything like it in my life before. I was coming back from work. I was with my daughter, and I was coming back from work, and it was at night time, and it was February. I could tell you the date. It was the 26th of February on a Wednesday night, and it was in 1986. And when I was walking back from doing my work, I was walking along the road. Should I say where I was?
Don't mention where you worked, but you know, you can say what town you was in.
I was in Northampton, and I was going home, and I looked up and I said to my daughter, look at that, Lisa, lovely, beautiful, beautiful, bright star. It shone amongst the others. It was so lovely, and I couldn't take my eyes off it. And we was looking at it when all of a sudden it came forward, and my goodness, what I see was amazing. We've got a race course in Northampton, and it was bigger than what the race course is, and it was hovering over some flats, and it was quiet. There was no sound whatsoever. It was that was a shimmering white, like a metallic white, and it looked brand spanking new, and it was big and round and a flattish shape. It got windows all around it, and I remember holding my daughter's hand, but when I was looking up at that, I can't say what else. You know, I was just dumbstruck, absolutely dumbstruck. And then afterwards, when it started to go away, I said to my daughter, look at that, Lisa, because I don't know where the time went either. And I said, look at that, Lisa. And it started going away, and then it sort of went so fast, you could say, whoosh, but it didn't. It was no sound whatsoever. It just travelled so fast that it wasn't there no more. It either went through, whether you believe in wormholes or something like that, but it just vanished. It just disappeared.
And just going back to your feelings at the time when you saw that, so judging from when you saw the apparition over in the fields, in comparison to seeing this, was you more scared of one than the other, or?
I can't say in a way that I was scared as much. I was inquisitive. It just made me, I was baffled. It just threw me because I've never seen anything like it before. And especially with this call it UFO, especially with this, I didn't know, what to think. Me mind, I thought, wow,
because it was so modern and high tech that,
and it looked so it just been made,
right?
Actually, but it was so big.
Okay,
and it was
we're talking
technical.
Right, so we're talking February, the 26th of February, 1986.
Yeah, on a
Wednesday night. If anybody has seen anything similar, because have you branched out, done any research to see if there's anybody in the areas who saw the same thing?
I wanted to go to the Chronicle and Echo, or I wanted to talk about it to somebody professional, but I know, in them days I thought nobody's going to believe what I'm going to be saying. Nobody's going to believe me. They're going to think I'm crackers or something, or and all at that time things was all hush hush about things like that.
So different times as they are today.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
Hopefully this can help. If anybody else has witnessed anything has been described as what my mother says, and feel free to drop it down in the comments.
And if I can, I will say that when I seen this, I left off work at 7:30 at night, and it takes about 15 minutes, to get home from work. And I was walking with my daughter, because I took her with me, and I was walking back with her when this must have happened about 7:45 at night, 7:45. And when I got into my house, which was only 2 minutes up the road from where I seen this, it was 8:50 at night. So I don't know where all that time went.
Well, so you lost, would you say, how long was that, sorry? So about 2
Nearly
hours?
Hour.
Nearly an hour.
Nearly an hour.
Nearly an hour of time.
Yes.
You lost, but you can remember the time you saw it, you can remember the date you saw it so clearly.
Yeah, very clear. Yeah, very clear.
Now, has there been any more at all, or?
In the house where I live with my ex-husband, you was a baby then, Chris, and I woke up feeling cold in bed. But then you started crying, so I got up and I went into your bedroom. You was in your cot. You couldn't, you was just a baby. You wasn't even talking then. And anyway, I gave you a bottle and I changed you, and I was singing to you to get you back off to sleep. And then I got cold again, and I looked across as I was singing to you. I put you back in your cot and I was singing to you. I looked across the landing into the bathroom. Bathroom door was open, and I seen a great big tall dark figure, really tall and broad, and he had a top hat and tails on, and he was so tall he'd got his back to me, and I thought, and it really scared me. He really, really scared me. He was so broad and really, really tall, well over 6 foot tall, and I was so frightened, and I thought, oh, I'm not looking at that. And by that I stopped singing as soon as I see that, and because I was absolutely dumbstruck again. And I was sitting on the spare bed, put you back in your cot, and I was sitting on the spare bed, and I sat there for ages and ages before I dare get up and to go back into my bedroom. And I didn't want to leave you in that bedroom on your own, and you was asleep. You was well fast asleep. And I didn't want to disturb you, and I didn't want to leave you either. So I just sat there. Oh, it seemed like hours. Well, it was quite a few hours, and I was cold. The room was cold, and that's why I didn't want to leave you there. Anyway, and then I knew that something had passed because I started getting warm then, and the room started to warm up. And then I went back into my bedroom, and knowing full well that you was going to be okay. And then my bedroom was only a stone's throw away, right next to yours anyway. So I got back into bed, and and that was the first time I'd seen that.
Wow. Now you say the first time you've seen that, because I know you have seen this figure again, haven't you, and possibly wearing a different disguise, shall I say, for now at the moment.
I've actually felt presence in the house. I can say that.
And that's something that I have witnessed to at a later stage. And that's going to be for another video when we're going to talk about our encounters at the home where we once lived.
And there's also been a horrible, really horrible, rotten smell in my house, and I don't know what it was, but it was such a horrible, nasty, horrible, horrible smell.
And was the smell there all the time? Or?
Not all the time. It came and went, but I don't know what that was either. Right. It was like rotten meat, really rotten. Okay. It was horrible, horrible smell.
Just before we wrap up, I just want to ask you if there's anything you want to say to our viewers in regards to anybody who doesn't believe, or if somebody would say, oh, you're making this up for, if you can hear anything, that's my familiar Baticus.
It's Maui.
Yes. Hello.
It's a dog, Maui.
Sorry about that, everybody. So yeah, is there anything you would say to anybody who would disbelieve with anything you've seen that you've talked about?
What I've said tonight is the truth. I don't tell lies. I don't believe in lies. If you're going to say something and you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings or whatever, but just tell the truth. Mm. The truth, it is out there, but people don't, and I was afraid of saying anything because of people not believing me.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for talking about it today, ma'am. We're going to wrap this video up now. We are going to be back, if you'll agree, to talk about more experiences, because I know you've had a lot more experiences in the house, and so have I as well. And but if there's anybody out there who is generally terrified, one thing that comforted me was the words of my mum, what she said to me about the worst thing that a ghost or any entity can do. And can you remember what you said to me?
What, that it if you let it, it'll send you mad.
And that's the worst thing it can do. Is the advice. Mum said, look, they can't harm you, they can't touch you. They can try and they can make you feel a touch, etc. And there has been cases where things have got
people
been
have felt
a lot more extreme than others. So I'm not talking about those encounters where, obviously that's a different thing entirely. It's not a replay of the past, and it's not an apparition that's there.
No.
But I'm talking first time encounters. If you're scared, etc.
And I just shouted for it to go and go back to where it belongs to rest, and not to disturb us, because that no longer exists. And we do. And
we will talk about that in another topic. But at the moment, I'm just going to say, stay cautious, stay haunted, stay illusioniste, and thank you for watching. Thank you.
Thank you.